And I thank you guys for asking these questions. I know I didn't have a lot of questions, but I appreciate you guys asking the questions that you did. Let's get straight into it. What position is harder to play, wide receiver or corner? And he added Justin Ford as well. Personally, I'm going to say that I think corner is hard to play. Receiver is hard to play. Don't get me wrong. We run a lot. A lot of times, especially against teams that play a lot of man, you end up doing a lot of runoffs for your blocking, because would you rather run somebody off or would you rather block them? I'd rather run somebody off, even though it's tiring. It's an easier block. But just think about corner. You have to run next to some of the most athletic guys on the field, other than corners, are receivers. You have to run next to those guys, and you have to cover those guys, and you have to do it backwards. I think corner is by far the hardest position on the field. I don't think it's particularly close. I think if anything is close to it, I think it's probably receiver. If we're talking about intellectually, quarterback is the hardest position on the field. But if we're talking about physically, like just physically on your body, there's nothing harder than corner. I mean, covering some of the best athletes in the world, running backwards, I mean, that's all I feel like I need to say, and there's nothing else I need to say for you to know how hard it is to play the position. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe receiver is a difficult position to play, just because the athletic constraints that it has on you, the athletic ability that you have, the shape that you have to be in, being able to read coverages, things of that nature. It's a decently hard position, but I would say that DB is a harder position to play, and I thank you, Colorado Grizz fan, for asking that question. So now we have a question from Smokey Garbage, B Klein. Well, let's say B Klein, and then at Smokey_Garbage. How do you think our chances are against South Dakota State? I think Montana's chances against South Dakota State are fairly good. I think it's going to take a pretty perfect game for them to beat them, but I think they have a good chance to beat them. I like the confidence that Montana has been playing with. I like the way their defense has been playing, and I like that they have been able to create big plays in the passing game in all the games that they've played, in the playoffs especially. They've been able to create passes over the top. They've been able to create big plays in special teams. The run game is something that I think will need to improve for Montana to beat South Dakota State. That's something that I feel like they have been lacking in a little bit, but I think they have a fair chance to win this game. You know, I think South Dakota State is a very formidable opponent. I have a ton of respect for this team. They are well built, well put together. I like Isaiah Davis. I like Mark Gronowski. I like the Yankee twins. I love their defense. They fly around. Their D-line is very good. But I like Montana as well. I love Montana's receivers. I think Montana's receivers are better than South Dakota State's receivers. I think Montana's defense flies around a little more than South Dakota State's defense. I know if you look at the numbers, that South Dakota State is ranked high in all defensive statistics, but I like Montana's defense. I like the pressure that Montana's defense is able to apply. I think South Dakota State's defense is able to apply pressure as well, but that's I think Montana's a good team. I'm not going to talk over analyze the situation. I think Montana's good. I think it's going to take a perfect game for Montana to beat South Dakota State, or a near perfect game. I think it's going to take one of their best games of the season. I think they're capable of it, and I'm excited to see the matchup. Thank you for your question, Smokey. Let me see it again. Smokey Garbage. Okay, Montana Madison at Montana Bohemian. What's your favorite fruit and favorite dessert? Okay, my favorite fruit gotta be grapes. I think grapes are my favorite fruit. Yeah, grapes are my favorite fruit. And then, what is my favorite dessert? Candy. You give me some gummy worms, some Sather's gummy worms. I know you guys might not know about these. Look up Sather's gummy worms. They're delicious. Sather's gummy worms might be my favorite dessert for sure. I know that's not a popular answer, but I love me some candy. I've been trying to quit. Okay, one more question. How will the smaller, faster D-line of the Grizz... Okay, this question is by Joe. This question is by Joe is Brain Dead. Brain Dead Joe 411. He said, he or she, I don't know if it's a man or woman, or they said, How will the smaller, faster D-line of the Grizz fare against the bigger O-line of the Jackrabbits? I think it plays in their favor for sure. Speed plays a part, but it depends on, are you able to be fast and quick as a D-line and still be gap sound? I think that's what it comes down to. Their O-line is very big. Their O-line is very good. Their O-line is very good at run blocking. Their O-line is very good at pass blocking. Number 1 in sacks allowed. Number 1 in TFLs allowed. Number 1 rated offensive line by PFF. I mean, they're good. They're really good. They got a lot of guys who are probably going to play on Sundays. I think probably 2 or 3 guys that are for sure going to play on Sundays. They're a really good football team. Their O-line is very good. What am I trying to say? I think the speed plays a part, and I think it plays an advantage in Montana's favor, but you have to stay gap sound. Being gap sound, being in the right place at the right time in the run game is going to be paramount. You have to keep contained on Mark Gronowski. I think he's a better runner than people anticipate, and I think that's something that you have to be able to counteract as a team in order to be successful. I think they can do it. We've seen them do it against good running teams. Montana State, as we all know, was a very good running team. Montana did a really good job against them. North Dakota State, one of the best running teams in the country. I think Montana did a fairly good job against them. I mean, if you make these teams one-dimensional, or if you get these quarterbacks off schedule, I think that's where, that's where Montana's bread and butter has been. Montana's last 4 or 5 teams they've played, the quarterbacks on those teams have been around 40 to 50% completion percentage. Some of these teams have played 2 quarterbacks, and some of them, get a little better completion percentage because they're not playing the full game. But if you look at the bulk, if you look at the whole team completion percentage, when Montana plays teams, they're around 40 to 50% completion percentage, especially these last 4 or 5 games they've played. I think that's where Montana's bread and butter is going to be, affecting Mark Gronowski in the pass game. Make this team one-dimensional, make them have to beat you over the top with big explosive plays, make them have to run the ball 50,000 times a game. I mean, make them one-dimensional, and you have to get pressure on Mark Gronowski. You have to affect him. You have to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. I think that's going to be a key, and turnovers, winning the turnover battle is another key. But I think Montana has a great chance to win this game. I like their chances in this game. I like the matchup. I like the challenge that it presents them. These guys have been challenged all through the playoffs. Give them the biggest challenge of the year. I think they're able to rise to the occasion. I'm excited for the match. Okay, sorry. I had one more question. Bridger Lord at B Dean Lord asked me, did I have any overlap with Nick Williams? He didn't get much time this year, but we were really excited to see his role grow over the next few years. Seemed like a ton of potential. Your thoughts on him as he departs the Grizz? I think Nick is a great guy. I did have overlap. He was a rookie. He was a redshirt freshman, like a true freshman when I was my senior year, 2021. He grew a lot. Because I talk about a lot how I ran routes with a lot of the guys this past spring 2023, when before my rookie season with the Stars. I ran a lot of routes with him, and he's grown a lot. He was a very raw, really tall receiver when he first got to Montana, and you could tell that he had a lot of potential. I think he still has a lot of potential. Obviously, we have some talented receivers, Junior, Keelan, Aaron, Drew, Sawyer Racanelli. It's just a talented receiver room. I don't think he was able to crack the lineup that is able to get on the field. So obviously guys these days, they want to play. They don't want to have to wait to get on the field. So that causes guys to make decisions like we see today. Same as the running back who left, Iverson Young. He feels like he has the ability to play. I don't disagree. He's probably a really good player, but we had Nick Osmo, Xavier getting snaps, and then we have Eli Gilman, the best freshman in the country. So, it's tough. I think Nick is a good player. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think if he continues to work, he could be a really, really good player. But for him, what it's going to come down to is your work ethic. Obviously now he's transferring. I don't even know if he was on scholarship here. He might have been a walk-on here. So a lot of people think, when these guys transfer, they're leaving a scholarship. Sometimes these guys don't even have scholarships. So I think it's ultimately a decision that he's making for himself. I hope the best for him, but he's got a lot of potential. He's a really big receiver. You just got to work. He's just got to work. I think he's going to be a really good player. Hopefully he doesn't transfer somewhere in the Big Sky so we don't have to see him, because if he does put the pieces together, it's going to be a serious problem for some of us in the Big Sky. But I wish him all the best. sad to see him go. One of my young bulls that, you know, I didn't really get a lot of time with him, but I've seen him blossom as he's been in Montana, and, you know, I could only guess that was going to get further and further as he got along. So I'm excited to see where he ends up. I'm excited to see how his career ends up, and I wish him all the best, man.